Hi everyone, have you ever wondered how success, hard work, and ambition can sometimes cloud our judgment and make us forget the very people who helped us get there? What if, along the way to achieving everything you ever dreamed of, you began to lose sight of what truly matters: humility, respect, and gratitude? This is the story of one self-made billionaire whose journey to success ultimately led him to forget the most important lessons life has to offer. Jordan Maxwell was a name everyone knew, a self-made billionaire, a titan of industry, and a figure who had clawed his way to the top with nothing but sheer willpower and determination. His rise from humble beginnings was often celebrated by the media and praised by his peers. Jordan never hesitated to remind everyone around him of his struggles and sacrifices, boasting about how hard he worked to achieve the success that most could only dream of. His social media profiles were filled with posts showcasing his lavish lifestyle, his expensive cars, his luxurious homes, and of course, his countless business meetings with the most influential people in the world. He had every right to be proud of his achievements. But somewhere along the way, something changed. As his wealth and influence continued to soar, so did his growing sense of superiority. The values of hard work and perseverance that had once been his guiding principles now seemed insignificant. His early struggles, which had been shared by his parents, were now a distant memory, overshadowed by the luxuries and privileges of his newfound life. Jordan no longer saw the love and sacrifices his parents had made. Instead, he saw their simple, humble lifestyle as an embarrassing contrast to the life he now led. He began to feel as though his success made him better than the people who had raised him, the ones who had taught him the value of hard work and sacrifice. This shift in attitude became evident in his actions. The admiration he once felt for his parents' tenacity and resilience had faded into a quiet resentment. The father who had worked tirelessly to provide for his family, despite never having much, was no longer the strong role model he once was. His mother, who had always put her children's needs above her own, was now just a shadow of the woman Jordan had admired growing up. Her old dresses, worn year after year, and the quiet simplicity of their home were no longer symbols of love and sacrifice. They were just reminders of a life Jordan now viewed as beneath him. At family gatherings, Jordan's arrogance grew more pronounced. He would belittle his brothers and sisters for not achieving the same level of success. He would tell them how lucky they were to have him as their family member and how they should learn from his example. His siblings, once close and supportive, now avoided him. No one could stand his constant boasting, and yet Jordan seemed oblivious to their discomfort. He had lost touch with his roots, the very people who had shaped him into who he was. But the ultimate turning point came on the night of his grand farewell party. Jordan was about to retire from his daily business operations and wanted to celebrate the monumental occasion with his most important business associates. It was a party like no other, filled with well-dressed men and women, elite entrepreneurs and dignitaries from all over the world. The lavish venue was adorned with gold decorations, expensive champagne flowed freely, and everything about the night screamed success. But during all this opulence, Jordan made a decision that would change everything. Knowing that his parents, despite their old age and modest attire, would likely show up at the event, Jordan issued a strict command to his housemaid. "Make sure they don't come anywhere near the party. I don't want them to embarrass me in front of my guests." His words were harsh, but they reflected his growing contempt for his flesh and blood. The maid, although deeply uncomfortable with the request, nodded and agreed to follow his instructions. After all, this was Jordan's party, and he was the one who had earned his place among the elite. As the party progressed, Jordan was surrounded by laughter, clinking glasses, and the admiration of his colleagues. He stood at the center of it all, basking in the spotlight, oblivious to the growing emptiness in his heart. The life he had built, wealth, success, and power, seemed to mean little without the love and warmth of his family. His eyes darted around the room, and for a moment he wondered if his parents would even show up. But before he could dismiss the thought, something unexpected happened. In the middle of his speech, as he was thanking his colleagues and celebrating his achievements, a figure appeared at the edge of the room. It was his father, wearing a simple faded shirt and pants, looking completely out of place among the well-dressed crowd. His father's weathered face was a stark contrast to the polished, perfect faces of the other guests. But Jordan's reaction was nothing short of shock. His father had broken through the barriers he had so carefully put in place. He hadn't listened to the maid's instructions, nor had he been deterred by the social divide that Jordan had created between them. The room fell silent as Jordan's father slowly made his way toward the center of the party. All eyes were on him, and for a moment the entire room seemed to hold its breath. Jordan's heart pounded in his chest, and he felt a wave of embarrassment wash over him. But his father didn't seem fazed by the attention. He simply stood before the crowd, and with a calm but powerful voice, he spoke. "My son has worked hard for everything he has today. He's earned his place among you all, and for that we are proud of him. But I hope, in the process, he hasn't forgotten the most important things in life: humility, respect, and gratitude. No matter how high you rise, remember that the people who love you are what truly matter. We gave him the best we could, and we never asked for anything in return. But today, I stand here hoping that he will remember where he came from and who helped him along the way." The room remained silent for a moment, and then a few hushed murmurs spread through the crowd. Some guests were moved, others were uncomfortable, but Jordan stood frozen in disbelief. His father's words were like a slap in the face, and for the first time in years, Jordan felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: guilt. His father's words weren't a condemnation. They were a simple reminder of everything he had forgotten. Jordan realized in that moment that his wealth and status meant nothing if they came at the cost of his family's love and respect. The guilt weighed heavily on his heart as he looked around at his guests. They were all watching him now, expecting a reaction, but Jordan had nothing to say. His father's presence had shattered the image he had so carefully built, an image of a man who had risen above his past and left everyone behind. Jordan was no longer the man he had portrayed himself to be. He had become someone he barely recognized, someone who had forgotten the very people who had shaped him into the man he was today. In the end, Jordan's father's words were more valuable than any business deal, more powerful than any amount of money or status. They were a life lesson that Jordan would carry with him forever. The wealth he had amassed could never replace the love and respect of his family, and no matter how high he climbed, he could never escape his roots. With his father's simple yet profound words ringing in his ears, Jordan realized that true success was not measured by how much money you made, but by the integrity you maintained and the people you uplifted along the way. Jordan Maxwell never spoke of his farewell party again, but its impact lingered in the quietest corners of his soul. Over the years, he made it a point to visit his parents often, something he had once neglected. He found himself listening intently to their stories, asking about their lives, and expressing gratitude for everything they had done for him. His perspective had shifted. The arrogance that once defined him had melted away, replaced by a deep sense of humility. He finally understood that true success was not measured by wealth or recognition, but by the relationships we nurture and the values we uphold. He had learned the hard way that no amount of success was worth sacrificing the things that truly mattered: the love, the family, and the integrity that had shaped him from that moment forward. He knew that the most valuable legacy he could leave behind wasn't written in financial statements, but in the lives he touched and the lessons he passed on. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.